lebelo. Yo shao na ola la ke khamba na baba. Ngwana shu. Dimini na ke. Asule.
Some of the things in the production itself, while on one level may be a challenge in terms of one is not necessarily working with what one in the Western sense could call professional musicians, but these are professional musicians in their own right. The choreography and the dance rhythms and patterns in the production are the easier part, because these are things that these people do every day of their lives in their communities. You know, one only has to find a way of how one merges them to create a tapestry. You have on stage Meduna King playing for you music of the mountains, music of the day before yesterday, for people of the day after tomorrow. My name is Tlokwe Sehume. I look at myself or consider myself a creator, not in the sense of the creator, but because I create things.
For people, irrespective of where they are, to be able to find their sense, their purpose of being, they need to be able to relate with each other. And what Meduna Gang tends to do is to bring all these indigenous cultures together in a monotonous rhythm, you know, all these different cultures, so diverse language, diverse habits, you know, and yet they're able to come together on stage and be able to do the same thing at the same time, you know. I think the greater part of it shows a sense of unity.
For them, whatever that they're doing, even though it may not have professionalism as you measure it in the Western sense, but their art form is something that, in certain instances, in fact, the West is unable to relate with that. And when they are unable to relate with it, they call it unmusical and chuck it out of the window. the movements in the production are able only to gel because for these people it's not something that they actually have to necessarily go and learn in some institution. They are able to do dance routines for far much longer periods, as if it's like breathing, you know, it's like effortless. You're actually thinking, is this person ever going to fall down because of fatigue?
I think identity is important with any nation or any people, you know. As people, we have a need to identify ourselves within a greater context. So with regards to the African and the South African context, I think it's very important that this type of work is really looked into, you know, and it's not taken for granted.
There are certain cultures that are seriously marginalized in this country, which are taking the forefront of the production. You know, our coat of arms is in Kun, but the language is not even one of the official 11.
In order for people, irrespective of where they are, to be able to find their sense, their purpose of being, they need to be able to relate with each other. And what Midinakeng tends to do is to bring all these indigenous cultures together in a monotonous rhythm, you know. All these different cultures, so diverse language, diverse habits, you know, and yet they're able to come together on stage and be able to do the same thing at the same time, you know. I think the greater part of it, it shows a sense of unity.
Interest will always be there because the production has got its own life. It's got its own dimension in terms of being different from your normal cultural production, where different cultures are always fragmented, you know, or are in competition. You know, if either they are there on the same stage, one is trying to outdo the other.
Well, it's a different experience for me. It's a long time that I've attended cultural shows, and to the extent that they would perform so vigorously for such a long time, it was really thrilling. And bringing the different cultures together gives it a different perspective. And my opinion is that it shouldn't happen only when we celebrate the cultural month.
Like seeing different cultures in one place, be united, you know, then it was very nice.
It teaches us who we are, where we come from, and probably to us it shows that we need to come together, we need to be one thing.
The play was fantastic. I enjoyed every aspect of it. They brought out South African cultures. Like there was a group from Rwanda, and when they said Rwanda, like, okay, you realize, okay, that was totally different, and it was gorgeous, it was beautiful. The music was just overwhelming. It was
when you really look at the effects of colonization, the biggest principle that was used was the divide and conquer rule, you know. And I think what Tlokwe is doing through his show is trying to go back and saying, you know, we're all human beings, but as Africans, let us try to find a commonality amongst us all, you know. And so, according to me, I think the most important part is the sense of unity, you know.
I reside in a land where indigenous culture gets relegated to Heritage Day.
The integration of the different cultures, because there's a link of these cultures from a specific source to where they've actually been eroded, trying to recreate that connection has become a journey where I would normally go through to the rural villages, spend time with rural communities, and become aware that before we are different people, we are one people, to a point where it's only a ploy to want to create this myth that we are different people so that we can be infiltrated by people who want to take over our spirituality.
Patrico!